a lot of times when we think of preparing for a competition, we're thinking of our physical preparation. We're thinking of getting our skills sharpened. We're thinking of getting our cardio good, making sure we're on weight. We're thinking a lot of physical, but a major part of competition preparation is managing anxieties and doubts, like Ryan just emphasized. And that really is an internal thing that's a whole nother sort of chapter of learning to be an athlete. It sounds like, Ryan, you use yoga, and it sounds like you use various forms of meditation, like the breathing exercises, to help with that. I think it's really important that you pointed that out, because it's not just physical all the time, is it?
No, it's not just physical all the time. I mean, and that's something important too with yoga, is like it kind of teaches you something that psychedelics will teach you too, which is to kind of look inside. And the only way to do that is when you're focusing on your breathing, when you're slowing your heart rate down, and you're focusing on yourself for once. You know, we spend so much time focusing on everything else outside in the world. And you know, if hopefully you don't need psychedelics to get into that meditative state, but that's something that that's a tool that a lot of people can use. Not saying I'm advocating it, but it's an option. And then once, I'm serious though, like when you do yoga a lot, like you'll start to understand that there's a connection there, and that you really don't actually need the psychedelics to get there. And you can do it with your yoga, and with the breathing and stuff. You can find this meditative state, and return to it, and find some peace in there. And assuming you've already like done everything correct on the outside, you know, you don't have to make any changes, then, I mean, you can have all the confidence in the world. Now, if you are disturbed inside, it's probably because there are some changes that need to be made outside. And either you can make it work in that moment, or you realize you got to go fix those things. You got to make some changes to your training and whatnot. And, you know, as far as if it's the day of when you're competing, you got to just know there's nothing that you can do to change that. And you just got to go out and do your best. But when you get back, you're going to make some changes, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, really well said, man. You know, I like what you said there too about meditation, is how, you know, once you've learned to make meditation and calming yourself a skill, it's something that you can always kind of come back to. You kind of build like a home base of your anxiety levels when you become good at meditating, and when you have practice doing so. How long do you think it took you to be able to kind of build that sort of baseline through meditation that you can always return to in the heat of the moment?
So I don't really do like these like 30-minute sessions or anything, but so I maybe it goes a little deeper than that, but I could say like, you know, 10-minute sessions for sure. I've been doing this for like I think I've been doing yoga for like 3 years now. Now, a lot of it has been me just getting onto all my arm balances and stuff because I wanted to fly. I always thought that was super flashy. And it also kind of balances out like the pushing muscles instead of the pulling muscles from jiu-jitsu. So you'll find a little bit more balance in your body, doing balance poses and whatnot. But yeah, the meditating probably just took me about a year in actual yoga classes to kind of start to understand it and be open to it. And when they say, I think it's Shavasana, and they just let you rest at the end of class, then, you know, that's your moment to kind of like reflect on everything. Or at the beginning when they have you do like your Ujjayi breathing or whatever, that type of stuff will also kind of get you into a more fired state, like where you're kind of preparing yourself, which is also like a form of meditation, you know. You can like reflect, or you can prepare, you know. You have to set an intention. Dude, I even set intention before I do a jiu-jitsu class now. You know, I set my intention on what I'm going to do throughout class for my competition. Before I go compete, I set an intention. You know, it's like yoga has taught me how to like meditate, reflect, or prepare, you know, and set an intention. It's just like added this structure to these events in my life. And so I think it could help a lot of other people with that too.
I really like that. And you know what, if you don't mind, I would love to zoom in on that more, because the idea of having a purpose and a goal and an intention, like you said, before any training session is something that I personally started doing that a couple of years ago, and it's really changed the way that I'm able to track my own progress. Can you give us an example of what something like an example of your intention of the day for your training session? Like today, for example, I assume you're going to train today. What's your intention for today's training session?
Actually, today's intention is to rest, because tomorrow I'm competing.
Cool.
In fact, it might be different if it was like a softer competition, but tomorrow I'm competing against some big boys. So, I got to make sure my body is just prepared for that. So yeah, dude, like I set an intention today to rest, and maybe like kind of go, and I'll definitely do some meditation. I'll turn on some audio with like some form of like meditating music or whatever, and I'll just reflect, and prepare for, what I'm going to do tomorrow. And usually too, when I do that, I try to find like cause I won't just close my eyes and whatnot. I'll sit down, I'll find a focal point that's like a light or something. You could light a candle, and you just kind of like sit there and you just stare at it. I actually go outside and sit on the front lawn, and I'll stare at a street light down the road at night. And just kind of watch the glow on the trees around it, and just meditate from there. That's kind of how I like to prepare before I compete, the night before I compete. If I'm going into practice, setting my intention would be like, if I'm rushing, if I'm late, don't really have an opportunity to do that. But that moment before they hit the buzzer and we break and he says, go do what you need to do, grab your mouth guard and stuff, I usually like to take a deep breath and think about, what guys do I have in the room tonight? What do I want to practice with them? Okay, so that guy, he has good, heel hook defense, good like slipping, heel slips, toe slips, whatever. Then I'll work on my heel hooks with that guy. That guy over there, is a good wrestler. So, but what am I preparing for, in the next competition? Do I want to wrestle with him, or do I want to practice like leg locks against a wrestler, or like, engaging the guard, entrances against like a wrestler style, so you can think about like setting intentions like that before your training, and I feel like you'll see more gains. I've also thought about recently, like maybe like a point system in your head. Like you get 3 points if you do a move that you saw in your competition. For me, it was arm triangles at the combat jiu-jitsu. I'm trash at arm triangles. Okay, always was. But dude, like I've been forcing myself to do the arm triangle on as many people as I can, dude, and trying to break those mechanics down. So I'm like in my head, I'm like, okay, I'm going to give myself 3 points if I hit the arm triangle, 2 points if I hit the move of the day on somebody, and then 1 point if I'm just getting like high volume reps on something I'm already good at, And so you can come up with like little games in your head to play, where you're kind of against yourself, trying to set your own records and stuff. I've been thinking about that a lot lately too. But that would definitely be in line with setting intent before your class.